We're closing things off with some mania. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Creep. This is, as always, a donation reward from Venom, and this is the final reaction of our month of love. So, as you know, this month we've been doing a couple themes. The main theme, though, has been Month of Love, where all movie reactions have been based on one of the Greek words for love. As you know, the ancient Greeks had a lot of different words for love, and specifically different types of love. We also had a minor theme going on of Black History Month, because we definitely have to celebrate that as well. It's super important. And so some of our movies this month also featured films that would touch on topics related to that. But let us talk about mania. So mania is our final word for love from the ancient Greeks, and mania is in reference to a very unhealthy form of love. While most of these forms of love have been pretty healthy when enacted right, mania is the one that isn't and can't really be. Mania refers to an obsessive, toxic, and pretty much this intense possessive love. It's basically, stalker shit. When you're a stalker, when you are excessively possessive and unhealthily attached to your partner, or even someone who's not your partner, it gets to the point of, this is just fucking creepy. And therein lies our movie for today as well, Creep. I don't know what this movie is. I know there's like two of them, but I don't know like what it is. I don't know when it came out. I don't know who's in it. Yada yada. I've heard of a movie called Creep Show before, but not just Creep. But the title definitely sounds like it's going to be very fitting. And Venom, you were the one who suggested this specifically for Mania. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. Because the thing is, being a creep towards someone is not always based on manic love. It can be, very much can be, but it's also dependent on a few different things. Again, stalker shit is a very big part of this. Or when you're like super possessive and like, for example, with that kind of thing, like let's say you have a partner, let's say you are male identifying and you have a female identifying partner. And you don't let your partner, your female identifying partner, hang out with, be friends with, or even really interact with any other men. Because you feel that if she does, then she might cheat on you or leave you for that other man. Or you just feel that she shouldn't interact with them because, like, almost this feeling of you belong to her now. That's kind of what mania love is all about. This kind of, again, this feeling of possessiveness, and it can come in, again, different ways. There's like just attachment, possessiveness, jealousy, insecurity, fear of abandonment. I have this entire thing up about it and everything. It's not good. And a lot of it is very self-focused. Like you pin a lot of your own insecurities on your partner. And again, sometimes not even someone who is your partner. And it just ends up like leading to some very unhealthy and even dangerous behaviors. And obviously I've seen various movies, shows, etc. where like people like this have existed. I've even heard like true crime stories about like people who have done this kind of stuff. and who have like showcased mania. And it's like kind of that one kind of love that obviously does and obviously should freak me the fuck out. um because like I get very attached to people very easily because of my autism, but I'd never take it too far. In fact, I always worry that I'm taking it too far and kind of like force myself to step back because of it, even when I'm not. Um, but I have known people who have been like this, who have been super unhealthy in terms of their love for another person. Luckily, it's never happened to me. But I've had friends who it has happened to. And it's scary because people like this tend to be really like dangerous. They can like in some cases I've heard stories of people like this killing their partners and killing the people they suspect their partner might have cheated with, etc., etc. It's it's horrific the kinds of things that can come from mania. And with this movie, I do know that this movie is a horror movie that does very much fit. This movie could be very uncomfortable for me, is what I'm kind of getting at. Depending on how far it goes and how it's depicted and everything. So, yay. Get ready for that, I guess. Um, we'll see how that all ends up turning out. But yeah, so without again knowing really much of anything about the film outside of it being a horror film and outside of the title kind of implying a little bit towards the theme today with Mania, I guess we should just get into this and see what we have in store for us. So, thank you for joining me for this month of love and everything. We'll talk more about it in the afterthoughts, but yeah. Uh, let's get on with this film and see how it all closes out. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link in the description below to go to today's reaction, I want to take the moment to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 every day except Thursday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princess Gaming channel. Every day of the week we have some awesome Let's Plays, we have streams, we have all kinds of great content. And please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to today's video. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So while this movie absolutely like fit with Mania, it's kind of like the mania about it was also kind of fake. Like it was just him being, you know, psychotic and everything, and becoming like, you know, obsessive just because is like his favorite victim based on his actions and everything. We see that he is, yeah, a very notable serial killer. Um, and I'm assuming, like, I did look it up. There is a Creep 2, and there is apparently a spin-off series. And I'm wondering if those, like, are like, the same killer, or if it's, like, a completely different story. I kind of hope it's the same killer. Because I feel like there is definitely more that can be gone into with this. With him specifically, whatever his real name happens to be. Joseph, Bill, whatever. Apparently the two actors in this were actually the producers of the film, the writers and producers of this film. So that's really interesting too. We had it was a very small, like, budget movie with very small, like a very small cast. And I wouldn't say very little put into it, but kind of, you know? And like not in a negative way, not as in like, oh, they didn't try or anything, but no, because it was not needed to be anything more. It was found footage. It was recorded like on this found footage camera and everything. There were like two actors with I guess some extras randomly strewn about, and then one who you only heard through a voice. It's like there was some set stuff you had to do, but it seemed like very minimalist sets. I mean, most of it was like in the woods and stuff. So it's like it's super simplistic in design and probably had a very small budget. I'm not going to look that up right now, but probably had a very small budget. But it was put out by Blumhouse, which is a pretty big deal because they're pretty well known. And from what I gathered, I looked up like what people thought of it. Apparently, it did really fucking well. Like this movie was very well received, and I can't argue. Like I'm kind of in awe of it. It's not what I would call necessarily a perfect film. My biggest complaint is that it was way too obvious. It was obvious the kind of routes it was going in because the killer, I'm just going to call him the killer at this point, was way too obvious. Like it did start off as like a little thing here or there. You could kind of maybe gaslight yourself into believing is kind of not that bad. But it became very clear very, very quickly how wrong that was. Plus, honestly, going into this movie, if you like, you know the title is Creep. You know it's a horror movie, even if you know nothing else about it. It's like you can put two and two together. And it just it feels like they're not even trying to be vague or subtle about it. And yeah, while it's clear that Aaron was like getting the ick from him the entire time, pretty or at least most of the time, I feel like he was also giving him way too many chances and was like, especially at the end there, he had no reason to go there. Honestly, he could have like gone to the police, shown them the video, the tape, or at least told them about what was to happen, and he could have had at least one cop there. And I know it's like he called the police and they didn't like believe him or said they couldn't do anything because I guess he didn't know enough about Joseph, about the killer. That wouldn't happen. In real life, that would not happen. Like, if he called 911 to complain about someone stalking him, no matter what, they would send someone. One, when you call 911, you're not talking to the police themselves, you're talking to a phone operator. The operator will absolutely send someone no matter what. Whether they believe it or whether you have enough info or not, they're going to send someone. And even if you don't have a lot of information, if you show them the evidence, and even just you telling them that this guy mailed you a knife, that alone would cause them to act. Like, come on. Like, as much as I rag on the police and everything for, being the American police, it's like, one, this is a white guy. So he doesn't have to worry about that side of things. And two, they would absolutely fucking look into something like that. That's just not even a question. The idea that he called the cops, they told him that they couldn't do anything because he didn't have enough information, and then he just hung up and they didn't even send someone out, that wouldn't happen. So it's like, I feel like there's a couple things about this film that it's just like, I feel like that wouldn't work like that. That's not realistic. That's not believable. Like that you can't believe something like that either, even from like the sense of a movie. there's certain things that you can like buy into because movies and everything. There's certain things that you can like suspend your disbelief for or whatever. But that's not one of them. Because again, that kind of like the ending of the film and the fact that Aaron is killed by him kind of hinges on the police doing nothing here. Doesn't it? It just seems like that it just wouldn't go down like that. Even if Aaron does get killed in the end, which could still happen, this wouldn't happen in this way. It's the execution of it and everything. But outside of that kind of stuff, like the film itself, in terms of how it was shot and the concept of it and everything, the writing, the dialogue, all of that was great. Like I can dig a good found footage film in the first place, and I can also dig a horror film that is more based in reality, touching on more of like a realistic serial killer. And when I talk about realistic serial killers, I mean something more like this, not something where it's like super exaggerated or like, the super high production stuff where the serial killer is just like doing all these crazy wild kills and everything. I'm talking about someone who's like just a lot more down to earth, and even in some cases comes across as like, oh, this could be a person where it's like just a normal guy, a little weird, but normal for the most part. But when you see a lot of these movies with serial killers, they're usually like wearing a mask, and they're like usually like silent and terrifying, and they sneak up on people and like will behead them and shit. And it's like, okay, that's a bit much. That's a bit exaggerated for film and all, because for entertainment's sake. But this isn't necessarily trying to be entertaining. It's more trying to be tense and creepy. I mean, hence the title, Creep. It's trying to like make you unnerved. And there's a couple cheap jump scares in there. But like when those hit, you start to like you get maybe a little annoyed. It's like, oh, a cheap jump scare, but it keeps you on your toes as well for the more actual fear of like this guy kind of slipping further and further into craziness. And it's a really interesting take that I just haven't seen too much in terms of serial killer horror films. A lot of these like kind of slasher films don't quite go in this direction. And there were things that were set up actually pretty well. The axe was set up right from the beginning. And he even asks him later on, like partway through the movie, it's like when you first saw the axe, you thought maybe deep down I was going to kill you with it, right? And it's like they really did set that up well. I will actually give them that was a well set up plot point. And then like even with the locket, the heart locket with their initials, that was set up with Joseph doing the same thing on a rock when they were out, looking for the lake and everything. I think it was right after they had already dipped in the lake when he did that. And then it's like the stories he's telling are like very like intense and everything. Like the story about the cancer, having the lung and liver cancer, then eventually having the brain cancer and all. And it's like very intense, very specific. But then he later on like goes into the story about like raping his wife and everything, which was a lie as well, of course. But it's like he's like so intense about it and so like crazy. It's like you obviously know he's lying, but at the same time, it's like you kind of question at first. You kind of wonder if like, is he telling the truth? Is he lying? What is happening here? Because you're questioning at first. You know he's lying. You know that he is. But you question that and you start to gaslight yourself into believing he's telling the truth because it's so intense and so insane that you've already realized he's like, the bad guy, he's the creep. And so you're tricking yourself into thinking, well, all right, he's got to be he's got to be telling the truth because this is just too damn freaky and weird and messed up. So you kind of fool yourself into believing him. And the actor is like, they're okay. They're nothing like special. They're not like the best actors out there, but they do their job well enough. And again, the tension and everything, and trying to figure out what's going to happen exactly next, and like seeing Aaron try to figure it all out and get out and everything, like that was all great. Like before he even like escaped in the first place, like and like when he like answers the phone and talks to Angela, but then when he leaves and he's and Joseph the killer, he's just not on the fireplace anymore. It's like that was really good. I really liked that. It's like I expected it, but it was still well done. And the wolf mask coming into play multiple times, um, with the plushie and everything, in the box that he received, that Aaron received. Seeing like him operating the camera and panning it over Aaron's body while he sleeps. Just these little touches that really raise the tension. Because, like, that scene in particular, where he's panning the camera over Aaron while he sleeps, I'm thinking, like, okay, what's he going to do here? He didn't do anything. He just panned the camera over Aaron's body and put it back down and left. He didn't do anything. He's just being a creep. And you're wondering, like, is he actually going to kill him? But it's like, once he, like, invites him to the public place and everything, the lake and all, and especially once you realize Aaron is gonna go, it's like, oh yeah, he's dead. Like, there was a part of me that was kind of thinking he might turn around, but he didn't. It's like the killer himself said. It's like, you didn't turn around. You trusted me. I don't think that's quite it. I don't entirely think that's quite it. I think he just didn't turn around because he didn't notice you. He was looking around at first, like when he started hearing the chainsaw noises or whatever. He was like looking around, but then he just sat there waiting. And yeah, you were standing behind him for a bit, and you put on the mask and everything, and before you killed him, but still, it was a very tense, very well made film for as little as was in it, and as small budget as it clearly was. It was well made. It had some issues. It wasn't perfect, and it was pretty damn short as well. It's like an hour and 17 minutes. But honestly, a movie like this, I can't see really being that much longer. Like I couldn't see a movie like this being over an hour and a half. I feel like it was right to have it be like an hour and 17. And honestly, that might not even be including the credits. Where I stopped it, it's about an hour and 15. It's about an hour 17, hour 18 in total. So yeah, it's like I I didn't know what to expect going in, but it wasn't this. I didn't even know this was a found footage movie. Like I said, I didn't know anything about it besides being horror and what its title was, and the fact that Venom U suggested it specifically for Mania. And like I said, it definitely fit that theme. Like, yeah, there was definitely the obsessive, possessive, creepy ass love. That was definitely a very strong aspect of the film. I wonder if like he does like the same thing with all of his victims. Like he like gets super attached to them in that way, or if he does things very differently. Obviously, the stories and the lies he tells are going to be different, but and I assume like maybe the reasoning for why they're like bringing the camera over to videotape and everything. But I'm just really curious as to what the difference would be there. I really do wonder about the second movie now, as well as the spin off show. I really do wonder if those are going to follow the same killer, because I really hope they do, because I definitely want to check those out now to see if they do follow him, and if it's like if like the second movie is a direct follow up to this. Is the series then a direct follow up to the second movie, or is it just like different victims at different times and we just don't know the order? I'm very curious about that. I'm very curious. Um, but for now, yeah, if you have any thoughts, let me know down below. Any questions, any comments, anything I might have missed, any little like details and everything. I tried to look for details, but I'm also trying to watch the movie. So if there's anything that you think I might have missed or anything you wanted to point out, please feel free. Thank you to Venom for donating, and thank you to everyone for hopefully enjoying this month's special theme, or themes, I guess. I hope you enjoyed all the movies we went through this month. March should be back to normal. The theming for this month wasn't even like originally intended in the first place. But March's movie reactions should be entirely back to normal. Like, just I choose a movie, whatever I'm feeling up for at the time, and we'll go from there. But like I said, in the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of Creep. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.